Page 40, the Waltz of Love. At the top of the page, they cover a little bit about practicing. I love practicing. There are as many different ways of practicing a musical instrument as there are people to practice. Different teachers have come out with certain ways of their practicing, how you should practice. One of my college piano professors gave me a lesson. One of my lessons dedicated it on how I should practice. What's in a practice session, blah, 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 blah. It wasn't until a lot later that I found out that there's all kinds of ways of practicing. It doesn't mean one is good and one is bad or whatever. You have to find the practice method that works for you. It's sort of a personal thing. I've never used this method they're talking about in the book. If you want to try it out, go ahead. I don't care. I can give you some ideas. Maybe I should do a video on practicing. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I already did by the time you're seeing this and it's already up. There's a lot of maybes in this world. I don't know. Be focused. Mentally focused on what you're doing. Don't just arbitrarily play notes while your mind is wandering somewhere else. That is a complete waste of time, in my opinion. Franz Liszt said, oh, you can practice while reading a book. Well, that's got to be one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. I mean, maybe if you're a musical genius like him, you can get away with it. But for most people, you really need to focus on what you're doing when you practice or don't practice. You're just wasting your time. Right now, I'm just saying stay focused on what you're doing when you practice. Now, let's talk about this love waltz thing, whatever. 3/4 time. Well, it's a waltz. Okay. 1 sharp in the key signature. We're in the key of G major. Make sure you can do the G major scale. It's very important. Got 8th notes, and we're moving around quite a bit. So the fingering here, I want to talk about. There's different ways of fingering things. So I like to try and finger everything connected or legato if I can, and then I'll lift up. I'll put in the articulation later. So I'm going to start with the right hand at the beginning. We're here to start. We have some curved lines and slur lines and tied lines and good Lord, we got lines all over. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and. See the A, B3, it's tied to an 8th note. So it's 3 and 1 and. So most of these, it's tied across the bar line. So just look out. The other curved line is the slur. So again, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. Come across and reach out. And then during the rest, you just come down. Now watch this fingering. I'm going to say a 2. You can do a 3, 1, or 2, 4, 1, either one, but you need the 1 on the D. Then reach up, 3, 5, 3. That's the kicker, because then you can do it's like a turn. And then 5, and I'll come back to that fermata later. And then here, that's a C natural now. I want to play a C sharp because we just had a C sharp. Oh, okay. The point is I can figure all of that legato just like it is in the book, except at the beginning you can use the 4th finger there if you want to. Then you lift up and come down. Now the last measure on that page, on page 40, it's... See what the sharp and natural looks a little weird? It's just a sharp. That's all it is. And then the top of page 41. Now what they're saying is a 1 here. Just 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's okay if you got little hands. But bigger hand, like mine, this doesn't work real well. So I need to start it with 2nd. Now if I do that, I'm going to do a 2, 3, 4, 1. And then I can use their fingering. Here. And then for the 3rd measure over, they're saying 2, 4. That's okay. Another finger you can use here is 3, when you're coming off of the C, come to third finger instead of second. And then now I'm going to scrunch down. I'm going to catch all of these notes without crossing the thumb. So it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I get all of those in one hand position. I don't have to cover them all at the same time because I can move the hand as I'm going down. The point is I didn't have to cross over the thumb there. I crossed over to get there. To me, that's easier than the fingering in the book. So I suggest you try that. And then going on, you lift up and come down. Then down at the bottom, let's go, we're at 4th line down, last measure. You're here, 1 and 2, and then at the last measure, I recommend a 1, 3 here. And then cross our thumb out under here, and if you can, 4, otherwise 3, and here. I want to connect that if I can. I can't really hear very well. That's all right. Do the best you can, but then here. Here, and that's tied to the end. Left hand, goodness sake. Broken chords. Here, I'm recommending a 3 because you're really in this position. So it's 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then second line, third measure. Third finger, 1 and 2 and 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. A lot of numbers here. Good luck keeping up. Last line, then we're back to here. But next, see, now we're in here. We were here, now we've come up to here. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Isn't this fun? I love it. Top of page 41. You can use thumb on C here if you want. And just cross over for the C sharp. Going on, we got some more. Let's go down to the 4th line. You're coming down here. 1 and 2. I prefer 4th finger on that. Here. 1, I'm in this position. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 1. Again, 4th finger, but see, all of those notes is this chord. It's just a broken chord. So again, 4th line, last 2 measures. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and last line. 1 and 2. Again, I recommend 4th finger on the F sharp. And then come down. They're saying a 3, 2, 1. I find that a little awkward. I suggest you simply do a 3, 2, and 4, 3, 1. It didn't cross over the thumb at all. I got them all. 1 and 2 and 3 and here. That's what I recommend. I know this feels a little awkward, but it's good practice. Don't shy away from these awkward fingers. We need to learn to use them. Put the hands together. Oh, this should be interesting. Here. See that the 2 come together. Again, 1 and 2. Right there. Second line, last measure. The left hand needs the E, and the right hand needs the E. Immediately, they're one and. So get the left hand out of the way. You got to play that E in the left hand almost like a short staccato note. Here, but don't make it that short. Just get all. We want to hear that silent. Then at the top of page 41, just work this out slowly. Measure of the first line there, that is an 8th note here. Get off of it. It'd be nice to hear just a little bit of silence between the C sharp and the D, because the phrase starts with that. So fourth. That's, for the most part, the piece. Then we can add in these slurs, like I already talked about a little bit. Just lift up a little bit. Left hand, just play it all connected. Linger on that, not very long, just linger on it. When I do it with a metronome, I'll add one beat. So it's a, just linger on it, and there's an error in the music. Just well pointed out now, it's the same error on page 41. If you have a fermata in one hand and one staff, I need a fermata in the other staff. They have to stay together. Otherwise, the left hand keeps going. We can't do that. They've got to stay together. So the B in the left hand, that should have a fermata, and you can put it under the staff, just draw it in. It's under the staff, and the curved line is a dot with a curved line under the dot. The dot is always closer to the staff than the curved line in a fermata, is what it is. So the B is fermata. So that measure is, then go on. It's like a quick breath. Connect. At the top of page 41, we want all this connected in the right hand. Again, hang on to that just a little bit, not a lot, just a little bit. Now, in the right hand, fourth line. I don't know of a good way to avoid that. Do the best you can. Here. Now there's no black key here, so you got a little more room. So that helps. So that's a little fast, but the idea is just lift up between the slurs in the right hand. The left hand, you play it all legato as best you can, except for the rests. Then we can add the dynamics, and that applies to the melody. In this case, it's the right hand. At the MP, mezzo piano, medium soft, moderately soft, sort of soft, soft. You'll have to decide what that is. It's in the middle area, but it's the soft side of the middle area. Left hand, just keep it really soft. This is a good piece where we can talk about natural accents, because they're really, you can mess this up totally. A person who's listening to this, till you play this, should know what the beat is. They should know it's a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And unless you put in the natural accents, they're not going to know that. All of this at the beginning, too many times it sounds like the D is the beat. 1. That sounds like the beginning of the beat rather than no. So we need the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So when you do this in the second measure, the A gets just a hair more stress than the D. Right there. 2, 3. See, every beat gets a natural accent when you're subdividing the beats. So you have the first beat of the measure is a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. But if I go a 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and if I subdivide, then each beat gets a little 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and that's important. What we need to feel that here. There, it's the last measure of the second line. 1 and 2. That 2 needs to look 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. And if it'll help you when you're first practicing and learning, exaggerate the beats. Put an accent on every beat at the beginning. You need to get into the point where you're feeling it. You're not forcing it, but sometimes it helps to force it when you're first practicing it until you can feel it if you're not feeling it. There's a lot of feeling going on here. I don't know. But throughout this whole thing, we want to feel this. It's the top of page 41. We want to feel the beat on each one. Don't force it after. I mean, you force it to start with, but as you're playing it, you feel it. You don't force it. And the second line, let's get back to dynamics here. Second line, you're going to swell. Right there. I think their arrows are a little misplaced. That's really the top of it. That's where you're headed, and then you come back down. So you can start this soft if you want, and you go up to sort of moderately loud. And then come back down to at least moderately soft. Right there, moderately soft. And you're staying in there until top of page 41, last measure. You come up a little bit to moderately, just here. Now I suggest we stay in the moderately soft area. So at the end of the first line on page 41, where the hairpin there to get louder, come down to soft and go back up to moderately soft. So, because you're ending a phrase anyway, you're going to come down. That's called shaping the phrases. Then go back up to moderately soft. And the third line, again, same thing. You're going to go up to about a moderately loud here. And then back down to moderately soft. Right there, moderately soft. And here in the fourth line, this is moderately soft. Everything else is soft or softer. Oh. And then you get at the end of the line, it's come down, it's a soft. You're soft this whole line here. If you want to come down and very soft at the end, make that very soft. I want to hear this chord throughout the whole thing at the end. At the end. You have to get to know well enough where you can feel these dynamics. Because you can, I mean, even at the moderately soft there, I tend to want to put just a slight crescendo on each of the. Here it goes. It's just ever so slight, and it's felt, is what it is. The tempo-wise, the tempo de valse is just a tempo of a waltz, and you just, in your head, picture somebody waltzing. It's about the speed I've been going, I think. Because you got slow waltzes and fast waltzes and in-between waltzes and just a nice moderate in-between waltz. But that's whatever. Except for the fermata, you're going to linger on that for just a little bit. Don't get carried away with it. Just a little extra and then go on. Then we add pedal. Oh, goodness. Well, if I pedal it the way they're showing, this is what you get. It's overlapping pedal. The notes go down first and then the pedal. And each measure, they're changing it. I'm going to put the notes in the measure first and then change the pedal. So it's here. If that sounds okay to you, go for it. I think it sounds terrible. There's just too much blurriness. I would like to fix it. What I think I'm going to do here, for the most part, is I'm going to pedal the first two beats of the measure and lift up on beat 3. So it clears the blurriness out, and it helps me hear the phrasing in the right hand. So it's this way. So I'm going to lift up right when I do those. Second line, second measure, you don't have to you can pedal the first two beats because you're getting louder. But But lift up on that one. Just clear that out and then go on. And again, the next measure, just 2 beats. And for the last measure of the second line, I wouldn't pedal that at all. So it's like the first 2 beats on most of them, and measures like in the second line, last measure on page 40, I don't pedal that. And on page 41, the first line, last measure, don't pedal that. And the other things, you can experiment with them. It's like on page 40, second line, second measure, this. Well, you don't need to pedal that measure at all. You don't need to pedal the next measure if you don't want to. Or you can smear it a little bit and then clean the smear out by lifting the pedal. That's what I do when I lift up on beat 3, that's what I'm doing. And that's basically how I'm doing it. And at the bottom of page 41, then you're here. Again, I'm lifting up on beat 3. But here I want to connect with the hands. I want that connected. So it's... And finally at the end they tell you not to pedal. I'm surprised. And you can retard there a little bit if you want to. Usually with a waltz, if somebody's dancing, any kind of a dance, you don't change the tempo too much. And that fermata, you have to do that in rhythm or that messes up the dancers too. The dancers don't like pauses and changing in rhythm and all that while they're dancing. I think if I were playing this for people and they were actually dancing to it, I would not put in the fermatas. I'd just keep it going. So far, I'll just keep going. Yeah. I like to play this with you very slowly to double check the notes and the rhythms. Rhythms shouldn't be a problem. Let's just make sure we have the notes right. So I'll give us 3 counts. I'm going to leave out the pedaling because you can hear it more clearly without the pedaling. And I'm not going to do the dynamics. 1 and ready and go and. Hold. Hold. 3,